Story 1. The Phone at Home. Last weekend, my buddy Jake practically dragged me out of my apartment to catch this band playing at a downtown bar. We'd been there about an hour, a couple drinks in, when I reached for my phone to check the time. Empty pocket. I checked everywhere. The table, the bar counter, even the bathroom floor. Nothing. I borrowed Jake's phone and called my number. 2 rings, then someone picked up. But they didn't say anything. Just this low, wet giggle. Like someone finding something darkly funny. Then they hung up. I tried calling back 3 more times. No answer. I figured some random person found it on the street. Whatever. I headed home, frustrated. When I walked into my bedroom, there it was, sitting on my nightstand, right where I'd left it before going out. My blood went cold. Someone had been in my apartment. Someone had answered my phone from inside my home. Story 2. The wrong bus. When I was in elementary school, I lived at the end of the bus route. Most mornings, I'd be the only kid at my stop, waiting alone on the corner. On Tuesday morning, a school bus pulled up earlier than usual, but something felt off immediately. There were no other kids inside. The bus was completely empty. The driver opened the doors and smiled at me. He had this weird, too wide grin. He told me to get on.
Get on.
I hesitated. I asked him where all the other kids were. He said we'd pick them up next, that I needed to get on right now.
Don't worry about the others.
His voice got more insistent, more aggressive. He kept repeating it. Get on. Get on now. I stepped back from the curb and said, no. He stared at me for what felt like forever, then shrugged and drove off. 5 minutes later, my actual bus showed up packed with kids, like always. I told my parents that night. I remember my mom's face going pale. They made a lot of phone calls. I never saw that empty bus again. But I still think about what would have happened if I'd gotten on. Story 3. The apartment next door. 2 years ago, I rented a renovated apartment from a friend who couldn't sell it. The place was nice, newly redone, but within a week, I realized the woman next door was seriously disturbed. She'd stay up all night with religious radio blasting, shouting at someone who wasn't there. After losing sleep for 3 nights straight, I went over and asked her to turn it down. When she opened the door, I saw inside. Every wall was covered in hand-painted crosses. Words like saved and watching were scrawled everywhere in red marker. The windows were spray-painted black from the inside. The smell that came out was rotten. Garbage and decay. She stared at me silently, then slammed the door. The radio got even louder. The next night, my girlfriend was sleeping over. I woke up around 3 a.m. and saw a silhouette standing next to our bed, just watching us. I thought I was having a nightmare. But then she spoke. It was my neighbor. She was holding something in her hand, something metal and heavy. She whispered, "You should really lock your doors," and walked out. The next morning, I heard weird sounds under my window. She was out there, talking to herself in gibberish, holding a plastic bag with her dead dog inside. The smell was unbearable. I knocked on another neighbor's door, and he was terrified too. She'd broken into his place while he was watching TV with his kids. He found her crouched behind his couch holding a power drill, just staring. I called the police. They knew all about it. Violent schizophrenic, off her medication. But they couldn't enter her apartment without cause. I had to wait 2 days until she left to buy cigarettes at 2 a.m. I called them immediately. 3 squad cars and a psychiatric unit showed up in minutes. They restrained her and took her away. I moved out the next week. I still have nightmares of waking up to her shadow standing over me. Story 4. The unlocked car. I was finishing the night shift in my office around 11:30 p.m. when I heard a massive crash. Someone had thrown a brick through the front window. The building was in an industrial area, completely isolated at that hour. Every other business was closed and dark.
Can you hear us now?
I called security, then practically ran to my car in the parking lot. I was so panicked, I jumped in, started the engine, and sped off. I was halfway home when I realized something that made my stomach drop. I never unlocked my car. The door had been open the whole time. I reached back quickly to check the back seat. Nothing, but someone had been in my car. I drove straight home, parked in my driveway, and went inside. About 30 minutes later, I decided to bike over to meet a friend. I was riding down the empty street when I heard someone pedaling behind me. I moved aside to let them pass. He rode up side by side with me slowly. When he was right next to me, he turned and smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. His eyes were too wide, too excited. He looked insane. Then he rode ahead, and I realized something that made me freeze. He was riding my mom's bike. I sprinted home. Her bike was gone from the garage, and my car door, the back left one I never opened, was standing wide open. He'd been hiding in my back seat when I drove home. He'd been in there the whole time, watching me from behind. Story 5. The payphone. I worked night security at a campground. Midnight to 8 a.m., 5 nights a week. It was easy work, mostly just me alone in a small booth with my laptop and some snacks. During my first week, the guy training me mentioned something strange. There was an old payphone outside the booth that rang every single night at exactly 4:17 a.m., just once. He'd never answered it. Probably just an automated test or something. For the first few months, I kept the windows closed because of the heat, so I never heard it ring. But in late August, I started leaving them open. Sure enough, at 4:17 a.m. every morning, that phone would ring once. And the sound was eerie, muffled, and distant, like it was ringing underwater. One night in September, I decided to answer it. I set an alarm for 4:15, walked outside, and waited by the phone. When it rang, I picked it up immediately. Dead silence. Someone was on the other end, I could feel it, but they weren't speaking.
Hello?
I said hello several times. Nothing.
Hello? Hello?
I hung up. I did this every night for a week. Same result every time. Just silence and the feeling of someone listening. After a while, I stopped answering and forgot about it. Then in early October, I decided to try one more time. I
Hello?
answered the phone and said hello repeatedly. Then I heard it. A slow, raspy inhale through clenched teeth. A voice that sounded like broken glass spoke my name. My full name, first, middle, and last. A voice I had never heard before in my life. I slammed the phone down and immediately dialed *69 to trace the call. The number came back to a disconnected line in California. I lived in Indiana.
You answered.
I quit 2 days later. I never found out who was calling or how they knew my name.